Hello everyone and welcome back to GM Details Product Reviews, and today we're going to have a look at Monstershine GLOSSLOCK Sealer Glaze. We're going to have a look at what it is, what it does and what it doesn't do. And for people that don't know what a glaze is, we'll just have a look at this wash chart here just as we come down through the safe wash, decontamination, the correction side of things and the protection. We've got it in here as waxes and glazes which add a deep gloss and very easy to use. If your car looks anything like this, then you need to have a serious think about how you wash your car, how you care for it. You may have just bought your car and it looks like this, but in any case it's usually because of improper wash techniques, brush washing, automatic car washing, washing your car with a sponge or drying your car with a chamois leather. All these things can all contribute to swirls and scratches in your paintwork. This is where Monstershine GLOSSLOCK comes into its own, because as you can see the glaze will sit on top of the clear coat and just provide fillers to fill in those scratches and swirls and make them much less noticeable, and it gives a nice freshly polished look to your paint. So for the purposes of demonstration, we're going to take a perfectly good test panel, one that looks pretty good as it is at the moment. There's a light on it, a couple of scratches on it, but nothing near like the earlier pictures I was showing you of paint swirls. We're going to scratch it up and apply the GLOSSLOCK to one half of the side of it and see how we get on. Okay, so as you can see the panel is hazed up, squirreled, scratches and deflects the light in all directions, making the panel look dull. So we're going to apply the glaze to one half of the panel using a foam applicator pad. See how easy it is to remove off and see if there's any difference to the paintwork. It's quite a creamy consistency, as you can see, spreads very easily, quite oily as it goes on, which is good because it aids to the smoothing out of the glaze. Works in very well, doesn't dry very quickly either, so it gives you a good working time, although it shouldn't be overly worked, but it just gives you enough time to spread a very thin, even coat out without being gloopy or being quite waxy. So it's got a nice easy application to it. Now I'm just sort of overworking it to this little panel here just to demonstrate that as you work it, it dries, and as it's drying, just time there just to leave it alone, just to let it haze up a little like you would with a wax, because there is a carnauba wax element to this glaze, as well as synthetic gloss enhancers, fillers and polymers within it as well. So you can see here now, after a few minutes of it curing, you can see that it's easily identified as ready for removal. You could do a swipe test if you liked, but you can see how simple that is just to remove with a good quality microfiber towel. So easy, just slips off, and even if you leave it for an hour and a half, 2 hours, doesn't matter, in the sun, doesn't matter, it wipes off absolutely beautifully, and you can see the shine that is left there. It is so slick and the shine is really good. Now I don't know if it's really fair or not to introduce a light into the thing, because it's not a corrective product, it's not checking to see if it's removed any swirls or scratches. You can see a definite improvement on the left side of the panel. On the right hand side, severely swirled and scratched, and on the left hand side, much reduced swirls and scratches, and given a good clarity to the paintwork on a darker coloured car. Really impressed with that. Right, moving on now, we're going to have a look at the application to a lighter coloured car just to see what the difference is here. So again, same pad, just a few drops, and you can see there in the sunlight, still hazes as it's applying, just as easy. Spreads over just a few drops, spreads over half the boot lid there. Just work it in. This is absolutely brilliant for people who love to wax and, as they say, polish their car on a weekly basis, a monthly basis. It just means that because there is no abrasives in the glaze, they can happily polish away their car, add as much shine and gloss and slickness to their paint, and the car will just look amazing week upon week. You could layer this each week as you go, and over a few weeks time you would have a car that would equally look just as well as one that had been machine polished from a distance. Now just time to remove the glaze now, just the residue, and again in direct sunlight it comes off effortless with a good quality microfiber towel. Now you can see there in the sunlight there are still swirls and scratches present. That's because the product only fills the gap, deflecting the light slightly. You're not going to get rid of them unless you have a full machine polish. But these swirls and scratches will look better as time goes on. Give it an hour, give it 2 hours, 3 hours, even 24 hours later and look at the car, it will look significantly better. Now for a product that claims to add gloss, slickness and smoothness to the paint, it just looks stunning. Now out of direct sunlight, this is what I mean about the freshly polished look to your car. So as you can see there, you don't see the swirls, you don't see the scratches, just whenever the sunlight or the direct sun hits the panel and just with the way the light deflects straight into your eye, that's when you'll see scratches and swirls. And if you don't mind that, then this is the product for you. So after the initial test on the boot lid, I wanted to see how it would look on the rest of the car. So I'm just going to leave you with a few minutes just to show how the application and removal process is and how easy it is, and you can make up your own mind whether you like it or not. Just checking there just to see how dusty it is. Now there is obviously the residue which you're removing from the cloth, there's going to be something, but something strange about it is although it gets dusty on the cloth, it doesn't blow around, and you know, sometimes when you're removing the product and it goes dusty, it's everywhere, it's over the plastics, it's over everything. But this one, I don't know whether it was because the microfiber cloth was a good quality one or it was deep pile or whatever, but all the dust residue remained in the cloth, and a quick shake of it and you could actually go around the whole car not having to change the cloth out. Just give it a shake, the dust comes off the cloth and you're good to go again. Another little test here was just a slight over application of the glaze on the plastics, just to see how easily they're removed, and one little swipe of the microfiber and no residue on the plastics, so that's really good as well. And here we've got the finished result. So it's took us about an hour, that's including moving the camera around, taking some photos and taking obviously some video for you. And just as it spins round without sunlight, you can see there how it just looks freshly polished. I didn't have any issues with it. It applied very easily, it removed very easily. It didn't have any issues with being overly chalky, and it didn't have any issues with any over application on any plastics. So a very easy product to use, and obviously you guys can make your own mind up whether you think it's something for you as well. And you thought the video was finished. Not quite, we've still got to do a little bit of water testing just to check out the beads. Now, GLOSSLOCK has been applied to the square in the centre of your screen there. You can just see it sort of made out with the border, and larger beads on the outside, and the GLOSSLOCK having slightly smaller, tighter beads. Now I have another glaze next to it on the left hand side of the panel there, just in that I was testing with, and you can see there just in the middle is GLOSSLOCK and to the right is the control section. So in the middle you can see nice beads with the sprinkler setting, and just when you flood the panel it tends more to a sheeting effect, which is really good. It clears the panel quite quickly and leaves it relatively dry. Now another way you can apply it is by machine polisher. So what better way than to dig out my new Into Detailing 3-inch machine polisher and give it a go. So using the DA there, you can see that it leaves a nice, even, very thin coating on it. And again, very easy to buff off. You can see how it just removes so easily without any dusting. All the dust goes in the cloth. It has to be said though that using it on this test panel that I have, I didn't notice any difference between whether it was applied via machine or applied via hand polish. So in the interest of a fair and balanced review of the product, we're going to change over the pads there and apply another glaze to the right hand side of the panel. Autoglans Supernova. Now this should be an interesting comparison because Supernova is a hybrid glaze, just the same as GLOSSLOCK is. And it just leaves an almost identical film of residue to buff off. And it's equally just as easy to buff off as GLOSSLOCK. When it comes to the slickness test with the back of the hand, GLOSSLOCK wins. So just a comparison with the torch again, just to see any swirls, that any blooms that may be caused by the light. I think on both sides they're very comparable with their filling capabilities and when it comes to clarity of the paintwork as well. There's no tape line here on the edge of the panel, but you can just see where I haven't buffed with the GLOSSLOCK. On the extreme left hand side you have quite a lot of blooming of the haze, and as it comes towards the centre where the GLOSSLOCK was applied, you can see that it's more refined. Not that it's again, come back to, it's not a paint correction, but it has given the paint some clarity. Same again on the Supernova side. The outer edge hasn't been polished, and as it gets towards the outer edge, the extreme blooming of the swirls and scratches are. So it just goes to show how glazes are very useful. It's a product that I never really thought that I would use, but the more I've used them, the more I've become to understand them. And the more I quite like using them for the ease of use and the gloss and the polished look for the car that it gives off. So yeah, I think I'll continue using that one. So as we bring the video to an end, we'll just recap again on the topics we mentioned at the beginning of the video. What is GLOSSLOCK? Well, it's a glossy show glaze, protective. It protects like a sealant, giving you sheeting of the water for a couple of months after application. Generally speaking though, that you would want to protect a glaze after you apply it by applying a sealant or a wax on top of it. One of the disadvantages of using a glaze in that manner though, and I don't know if having the protection within the glaze actually helps it or not. But generally with a glaze you'd want to protect it, because generally after a couple of washes you've washed away the powder, the acrylic in the glaze, you've washed it away, you need to apply it again, or again machine polish. But with having the sealant like protective qualities in it, I don't know if it then allows a wax or a sealant to bond better to that glaze for longer lasting. That's maybe something you could contact Stephen at Monstershine to ask him directly. But so that's what it is, that is what the product is. What does it do? It fills swirls and scratches, very light swirls and scratches, to give you that just polished look to your paint. What it doesn't do is it doesn't correct your paint. It won't give you a flawless paint correction. It will enhance your paint but not correct it. So that's what it doesn't do. What it will allow you to do though is use it more often than a polish. Because it doesn't have any abrasives in it, you can use it weekly, bi-weekly, however many times you want to use it. It's entirely up to you. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope that it's given you some insight into the products. It certainly was interesting for me to learn a little bit more about glazes, and in particular about hybrid glazes. And just a little note just to say that it's not a pre-wax cleanser. It's slightly different to a glaze, because a pre-wax cleanser will cleanse the panel and allow a wax to bond better with the paintwork, whereas a glaze would lay down that little coating so that when the wax sits on top of the coating, it's not quite as strong a bond as if it was being applied to bare paint. And if you wanted to glaze the car and then use something like a panel prep, it would just wipe away the layers of filler that the glaze is just put down anyway, so that would remove your work that you've done. So just obviously bear in mind what you're using, and properly prepare your surfaces to give you the maximum protection that you're looking for. So that's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. This is in a series of 3 videos from Monstershine. I still have Dominator Wax to show you, and I still have the hybrid detailer to show you as well. So that's what will be coming up in the next few weeks. This review is based on my own thoughts on the products. I didn't buy the product, it was given to me by Monstershine, so thank you very much for that. It didn't have any effect on the review in terms of an unbiased opinion. I always give unbiased opinions on my videos, and I just feel that with this one, I didn't like it in the beginning, and I worked with it more and got to know it, got to like it, and I think the results show on the video. So I hope, although it was quite a long video for one particular item, but I wanted to show just how much work I had put into it.